Hello. The lighting is very dark and weird, and I decided to keep it that way. I don't know why. But, anyways, it's got a very noir feel to it. But it's pre dawn here by maybe like an hour. Uh, I woke up maybe an hour ago and I got a bit of a headache. And I just took some ibuprofen to try to get rid of said headache. So I'm not really fully awake. Uh, I finally talked to my brother yesterday. He didn't call me for like 17 days. And I knew it was stupid. I didn't know that he could. Well, I guess that's kind of good that he could do without my company. He didn't say he missed me or anything like that. I guess that's kind of good from his perspective that he could do without my company for 17 days, since we talk like 2 and 3 times a week. And he's got about as many friends as I do. Sorry about the wheeze and the coughing thing. Um, but yeah, it was weird. And of course, it was up to me to call him. It's up to me to do the emotional legwork and talk about why we haven't talked to each other. And I'm like, I was kind of wondering what was going on with you and why you haven't been calling me. And he's like, well, I was afraid I'd say the wrong thing and I get excommunicated, like uh, our sister. And I'm like, um, have you ever heard me cry? He thought about it for a while. And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, what happened is I cried for the first time in 30 years. It was actually 29 years in front of her. And she was mean to me. And then, he was like, oh, I had that happen with a therapist once. Not a, that's what's called a false equivalency. Not the same thing. A therapist is not a trusted family member, but I let it slide. Um, but I told him before, like, it's not going to happen with you. You're not going to get excommunicated or whatever. She's not even excommunicated. All she has to do is, now I got a lot of anger built up because it's been 3 years, but all she would have had to done is like say, look, I fucked up, did a bad thing, and I'm gonna be like, well, everybody does bad things, over and done with. But that's not what that's about. And I don't go into that with him because he sees her on a regular basis, and I'm sure the thing of it is like she's just the only one talking about it with the family because I keep it between me and her. She involves the family, so they only get her side of it, and of course her side of it. Well, you know how they say like the victors write the history. She won the family, so she gets to write the history of what happens, and I'm sure in what happens, the way she tells it, I'm an unreasonable dick. So anyway, that's what he said. Is like he hasn't called me because he's afraid he would say the wrong thing. And I said my line about you know I sort of ate some of my feelings, which is probably not cool, but uh, I was like, look, it's just a communication thing. You know, um, I don't get mad when people don't do stuff that I ask them. I'm not going to get mad at you for saying yes or no over something. I get mad when I get the idea that people say they're going to do something and then they don't do it. So from now on, when I ask you to do something, I'll just ask you to say yes or no, and that way there won't be any confusion. And that way he's real defensive at times, so that way it doesn't put any blame on him, it puts the blame on me. Meanwhile, I still have about $740 on my food card, and they just had Thanksgiving dinner, and they spent none of it on Thanksgiving dinner. knowing that they could turn, they probably spent what, $150 on Thanksgiving dinner, knowing that they could turn that into cash for me. The family knowing that they could do that for me, but they didn't do it. I checked the card and I'm like, no purchases made on this card since September. You know, so no, I'm not the crazy one here. It's like it's not that I don't know if it's that they dislike me or that they don't think about it, or they don't. I don't know. You know, I don't try to figure out. I don't like hurt myself trying to figure out crazy people. I have a hard enough time trying to figure out this crazy guy. So, but yeah, that does. That of course that bothers me. It's like turkey stuffing, cranberries, mashed potatoes, and like I used to clean up for them. Okay, when I lived briefly in a certain situation, I used to clean up for them because they'd come over to this place that I lived at and cook, and they would literally dirty every freaking thing in the house cooking because they love to cook. So it's not just a basic Thanksgiving dinner. Like with the turkeys, the cranberries, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, and the yams. There's probably like 10 different things, 10 to 20 different things to eat. It's a whole big thing because they love to cook, my sister and my niece. Yeah, my sister and her daughter. So I know they spend at least $150, $200 on Thanksgiving dinner. I know it. And I know that my card could have been used and I could have like $200 extra in my pocket. I got like about $80 in the bank. You know, I got to eat those feelings like when I'm talking to my brother because I just want to like smooth things out with my brother. And, I got to have somebody to talk to, right? Besides talking on here in the shadows. So I wasn't like, I didn't like reopen that illogical can of worms. Like, why aren't you spending money on uh, food? Why are you spending money on food when you could just spend money in the form of my card on food and help me out and give me the money? Why doesn't why didn't they do that for Thanksgiving dinner? And the funny part, like, is like I'm talking to him, and we're not very far in the conversation. He gives me this long spiel. There's this big pause in there. Like he's like, I have to tell you something though. And I thought like, oh, he's gonna come back at me with like, you hurt my feelings, or like it was gonna be some emotional stuff. But there's this huge pause, dramatic pause in there after I said, that stuff about well, like, um, next time when we work things out, and I confronted the issue. He's like, I have to tell you something, though. I really have to tell you something. And then there's this huge pause in there where I'm expecting him to come back at me. I'm like filled with dread and stuff. And then he goes into this long spiel about how um, he has to get off the phone because my sister, who doesn't talk to me, is going to come over and pick up some turkey juice because they gave him the pan with the leftover turkey in it. And I guess she takes the turkey juice and she makes soup. So I'm thinking it's going to be some big emotional slap in the face or some emotional crap coming back at me. You know, he's like, I really have to tell you something. And it's this. I was like, well, after he was done, and it literally took like a minute for him to explain that he needed to get off the phone for just a second because he has to call my sister back. And it's like, you could have just said you need to get off the phone for a minute because you have to call my sister. I'm not using her name. And he was like, oh, because we didn't talk to each other for I think 17 days. I mean, the 9th to the 27th. That's 18 days. Yeah, we didn't have a conversation for like 18 days. So you kind of expect like he had, it wasn't like, I kind of expect like he had some kind of bad feelings that was preventing him. But if he was being honest, the only thing that was preventing him was fear of saying the wrong thing. And me, I guess the family has me like painted as a lunatic now that just like cuts people off if they say the wrong thing to them. I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm like, in retrospect, it's funny, but at the time, it was like, it really kind of pissed me off because I'm like, he's like, I really have to tell you something, after I would like did the emotional work and like confronted the actual issue of why we haven't spoken to each other. It's almost like he was going to pretend that we haven't talked, that we just picked up where we left off and the 18 days in between never happened. I was like, I just want to talk about that and get that out there, you know. So I was expecting him to come back on me. He's like, I really have to tell you something. And there's big dramatic pause, because I think he's like, he's going to say something like, you really hurt my feelings, man, when you do stuff like that. Like, it was going to be like some sort of therapy session where there should have been somebody sitting over a corner and it's about turkey juice. I mean, she makes something called turkey drop soup with apples in it from the turkey grease. You call it turkey juice, but it's grease. It's like you use it for soup stock. So I'm like, yeah, sorry about bumping. I always do that. I bump the computer and it makes a noise. But anyway, speaking of which, I finally, I don't know why I didn't do this a long time ago, but I finally looked up Blue Yeti cords, and they're not bent like that. So that's a dysfunctional. So I got the dysfunctional family on the brain. That's a broken cord. So the reason why I was like, this doesn't sound any different is because I have a broken cord on the Blue Yeti mic, and it's really cheap. They're really cheap. I bought one from California for like $3.61. So that's on the way. So that'll help the way I sound. It won't keep me from doing stupid crap like bumping the computer with my elbow. But I am, you know, I always say I'm large because, 30 years ago I was large, but they make bigger people nowadays. So now I'm probably closer to average or maybe slightly above average in overall size. So, I need my space. Um, yeah, got this stupid headache that I woke up with, and yeah, re- I don't remember the last time I took a shit. I literally don't. I know it's been at least a week, so that's messed up. But I can't mess with my body. I can't fix it because if I fix it, it'll go the other way, and I'll be in real bad straits. Because my body does not respond well to like definitely not chemicals, laxatives. It doesn't even respond well to that Miralax stuff that's like that powder. It's like Metamucil kind of, but it's more powerful. I guess. I don't know. But it's like Metamucil in that you pour it in water and you mix it up. But I'm not doing any of that. I'm letting my body figure its own self out because that's the best policy with this disease system. Just let it work the way it's going to work. But it's got me a little concerned. I mean, I haven't been eating all that much, but I'm more full of shit than I usually am. I'm usually just completely full of BS. But and my stomach is like gurgling, and because I'm not eating that much because I'm like, the drawer is already full. I don't want to stuff any more socks in it because it won't close. So I can't even tell you, man. I cannot even tell you. And they freak out like in the hospital. Like after I got operated on, they were like, "You haven't had a bowel movement in 5 days." And they acted like something horrible was going to happen. It's like we have to get that. You know, they were going to give me laxatives and stuff. And I'm like, I'm more worried about the fact that I got my incision is swollen on my back. And they tested it. Infection is a serious complication. Swelling on an incision is normal, but it's also painful. So that's like when I was 16. They were threatening me with like enemas and stuff. Like if you don't go to the bathroom, and it's like I figured out over the years because I got an autonomic disease. Like there's no rhyme or reason to like I don't get like when they say regular, they're talking about like normal people. It's like I guess people go to the bathroom within like a 2 hour span. Some people it's like their bowels work like a German train and they're or a Swiss watch or uh, green meridian time. I don't even know if that makes any sense. I'm just about was it something? I forget the meridian thing anyway. But the point is like they're like up to 8:15, or or they like timed out. Like they go to the bathroom when they get home after work, or they go, and it's just like they have this. Their body gets in a set routine. CRPS is utter chaos. Your autonomic system controls your bowels. It controls all your all your gutty works. To quote a Clockwork Orange, it controls your heart. That's why I got the arrhythmia thing probably. It controls sweating. It controls all your autonomic functions. Like I explained before, like autonomic, it's like sense of touch, and like the other stuff I was talking about, and the other, I don't know what it's called even, but the other part of your nervous system is the part that you're unconsciously doing this. Live long and prosper. That's the satanic live long and prosper. But so yeah, I mean that's just I mean I just my body just doesn't work. So this is it's alarming. It's like I know it's been at least a week, but I had like major problems in the early part of the month because like I was a little bit sluggish and I took some Miralax. Not good. Yeah, I've been taking. I forgot to take them yesterday. Damn it! But I've been taking. I take like this stuff from. Come on, brain. The box is behind there, but I don't want to make annoying noises. The box is actually behind the computer, but I take these like little capsules from. They're like a probiotic digestive. They're from a company called Shift Digestive Advantage, and they're like probiotic capsules. Like the yogurt that Jamie Lee Curtis is always pushing with the probiotics. It's like this, you know, yogurt is expensive. That stuff's cheap. You can get like 80 pills. Like I think I got like 80 pills for $12, and then you take 2 pills a day, so it's 40 days worth supply if you take them every day. I think you're only supposed to take one, but I take two. I don't know, but yeah, I'm probably all full of toxins and stuff because my body isn't working right. I tried to do shit yesterday, like, and my nerves were too cooked. But I tried to like, uh, what do you call it? Inventory my cards. I'm going to do really good on this Justin Herbert guy because Joe Burrow, uh, his knee got destroyed, but he was the big deal quarterback in the league because really collectors of cards only care about quarterbacks and wide receivers and maybe a running back or two. They don't really give a shit about any other thing. It's like those are the guys that matter as far as card value. So I was inventorying my cards for a while yesterday, and I'm like, wow, I got a lot of like really good Justin Herbert cards. It's like literally probably $1,000 worth. And yeah, okay, that's good. I quit selling cards though because it's just annoying and I haven't figured out. I had talked to my niece about the shipping thing and she said that I wasted my money on the shipping labels that are sticky. Like you need to buy a machine that handles those specifically. You can't run them through an ordinary printer. That's what she told me anyway. But she said what I do is I just print it out on a regular piece of paper and then cut it. Like if you tell it to print 8 by 5 on 11 by 8 piece of paper, you just cut it with a pair of scissors and then tape it to the package. So if I want to get back into selling cards, um, yeah, I guess I'll try like selling one thing and I'll try it that way and see if it works out. I might have to buy tape and stuff, but I haven't been buying anything because I don't have any money. So, but on the third, you know, thing, I'll have money again. So, um, oh yeah, when I talk to my brother, it's like he hasn't gotten his $100 yet. He's like, "Oh, I forgot to ask." There are whole fights over stupid $100 that I don't even care about. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was supposed to get that on Thanksgiving off of her, but I forgot all about it." I'm like, if I had any teeth left, I'd be grinding them together in frustration over the stupidity of my family dynamic. It's all stupid. It's like I was talking to my friend about it, and I was like, the thing that drives me crazy about it is how stupid it is. So I borrow $300. I have the $300 in a drawer. Uh, it's there waiting. The guy don't pick it up. That's not my fault. It's like unless you want to blame me for not getting into a bank and getting checks or ordering checks online, or calling my bank and ordering checks or whatever. But I just don't need checks because the landlord picks up the rent in cash. He is a drug dealing, not a drug. He is a drug landlord, so he's used to getting paid in cash anyway because he's used to getting paid in drug money. So he likes cash. I, and I buy everything online. I have no reason to buy checks, so that's why I don't have checks. I don't need them. I've used checks before. I know how to write a check. Uh, but anyways, so I got the cash in the drawer. I tell the guy I got the cash. He doesn't pick it up. Somebody else out of the blue calls and says they'll pay me the exact amount of $300, and I'm like, that's a coincidence because this other guy owes me $300, and why don't you just pay the other guy? But they don't. They're like, okay, I'll pay him the 300, but they end up paying him 200, which leaves $100 difference. And then like somehow comes back on me, and I get the grief for it. Now I don't confront the person about like why didn't you pay him because I don't want to get involved in their shit because there's could be some really bad shit going down in that situation, and I don't need it. I don't need I just don't need it. It's not a matter of me being a pussy and not confronting people. It's like I don't need extra bullshit. My nerves are already fried enough. They're too fried for me to inventory cards. Because after, I got that sore knee nagging at me, and I'm standing up for a while, like sorting out these cards on the bed. I'm like, oh, I can't stand up. Then I sit down, and piles of cards spill and stuff. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm sorting through these cards. I'm just, getting the same players together, more or less. So, like, when I go back to sell, I won't be like, okay, I know I got this card that goes with this card. They're all together. That's the whole idea, which, I don't know why I'm explaining that to you. You're intelligent enough to understand that, I'm sure. If you got a whole bunch of shit and you want to find it, you have to organize it. Okay, sorry about that. Um, but anyways, I didn't get very far. I got, I got way more stuff to do. Um, as far as like getting everything all squared away to where I know where everything is at, because there's like, I don't know, a couple of thousand cards minimum here, and it's very annoying not being able to find it. And also sometimes you forget that you have, like, you can sell this card with this card, and you'll get more money. And yeah, I have some good food, so I suppose I could eat breakfast. Uh, like I said, man, it's still dark outside. It's looking off across the horizon. I'm guessing it's 6:03. Let's see how bad my eyes are. It's 6:53. Damn, man, it's 7 o'clock and it's still dark outside. Has the world changed since I was a kid? Because when I used to go to school, it was late by 7 o'clock, even in the wintertime. Mm. I mean, the sky's a little bit blue. I don't know. They got new bugs and stuff since I was a kid. I know that. I mean, seriously. It's like new species of insects have arisen. Because I was an outdoorsman, and believe me, I was very familiar with everything that was out there. And then, like, before I became a shut in the last few years, I would go over to the suburbs and see the brother I've been talking about, and he'll be describing insects to me. He's like, they got these new biting mosquitoes that aren't afraid to bite you in the daytime. Like, because the old fashioned mosquitoes from back in the day, if it was bright and sunny, they wouldn't come out in the sun. You'd have to go in the shadows. That's why, like, on gloomy or misty days, or like, when you were fishing and the sun began to fall, that's when the mosquitoes would attack you, or you're fishing at night. Now they have these sun-resistant mosquitoes that'll bite you in broad daylight that they didn't have. That's just one example, but he was talking about this other kind of biting fly, and he showed me one. He goes like, "Yeah, there's one right there on the car over there." And he went over there and we looked at it and he smacked it and killed it, I think, if memory serves. And he's like, "Yeah, those things hurt." And I don't know, you know, yeah, it's weird. Uh, Getting so old that new life forms are evolving, or at least coming down from Canada or across the water from Asia. Uh, you know, or I don't know where these new bugs are coming from, but like I said, when I moved in here, I saw a purple and blue spider, and it was big and it was scary, and it was crawling across the top of my TV while I was watching it in the dark, and I had turned the light on and I put it on a piece of paper and went to put it out the window, and it started crawling really fast toward my hand, so I just threw the whole paper and the spider both out the window. Because I don't like killing things, so yeah. The only thing I will kill uh, are bugs that bother me. Um, Roaches, or like household pests like that, roaches, bed bugs, ticks, fleas, parasitic type things, though roaches aren't really parasitic. And I will kill fish. I'm a fisherman, so naturally I kill fish and eat them. But I don't like killing like spiders. If I can catch a spider and throw it out, I don't even like killing bugs if they leave me alone. Speaking of which, I finally put a bunch of roach bait out, and the roach population has diminished almost instantly. So it must still work. I mean, I like they seem to like cat food, and I have to feed the cats like 3 or 4 cans of cat food every day. So I just like empty out the cat food can and put the poison inside the can and then leave the can in here, and then like I put like you're supposed to. I also put like drops of it in the corners of like in the corner of the bathroom, in all the corners. We put like drops in various places, and it seems to be working. But that's, they just come back, and you just have to put out more, and they just come back. So I'm thinking somebody else around here got them, or they got a pretty significant nest somewhere. I don't know, but but yeah, I think maybe like actually thought like, well, I should get this. I should get this phone call over with, because maybe it's affecting my bowels adversely. Because according to the Bible, the seat of your emotions is not your heart, it's your bowels. And it's like, I don't know about you, but when something affects me emotionally, that's where I feel it, is in the pit of my stomach. Like that feeling when you get caught shoplifting, or you get caught doing something when you're bad. It don't hit you in the heart, it hits you in the stomach. So, yeah, that's where I feel. That's like, I believe the Bible when it says like that's the seat of your emotions. So I'm like, well, maybe if I get this nonsense over with my brother, then I can relieve myself in a normal fashion, and things can get a little bit more. I get a little bit more normalcy in that area. I don't know. Maybe that's like the stress of that. And I was just waiting for him to be a man and call me. Okay, I was waiting for him to man up and call me and do the emotional work, but he's not capable of it. So, it's like, why am I doing this? Um, it's like, I was just wondering, like, it's sort of like an experiment. It's like, is he really gonna, like, that shows me that his life is doing pretty well, though. Because he used to, like, lean on me, like, heavily for emotional support. And it's like, well, that's cool. He's got a better support system now. And, back in the day when he was more of a shut in, uh, I was the guy he would lean on all the time. But apparently, you don't need me all that much, which is cool. That's good, because I'm not going to be here that much longer. So that's good. Um, but yeah, at the same time, I was waiting for him to be the adult in the situation. It's like, no, fuck, I got to be the adult again. God damn it, why do I always have to be the adult? Why do I always have to be like the calm guy? Like when that one person was yelling at me on the phone. I'm like, uh, who told you these things? I would never talk behind your back. It's like, you're like the last person I would talk bad about uh, behind your back. I'm actually proud of you, and it's like, I'm keeping my cool with it. They're like I was thinking about, man, I'm cutting you off altogether, and they're all pissed off and shit. And I'm like, being patient Paul. I was gonna say patient Pete, but which had a better ring to it. But Pete's my dad's name, and he wasn't patient at all. So, shut up, stomach. Your itches. I'm sorry, it itches real bad. That was on the outside, though. See, on the outside, if your nose itches on the outside, it's socially acceptable, and on the outside of the ear, it's socially acceptable. Even though, frankly, I wanted the whole experience. I don't know if you ever have that where your ear itches, but it's really annoying. But yeah, a very polite, reasonable, logical person, 95 to 99% of the time, you know. But yeah, that waiting game was just dumb. It's like, why am I waiting for him to be the adult? I always have to be the adult. I always have to call. I always have to do the emotional legwork and take care of things like that. Now, the only other thing of any significance uh, is the day that I made the video with the 109-year-old man is also the day of my aunt's funeral, and I sent that video to my best friend, and he come back from the funeral and gave me a call, and we talked for 45 minutes, which is a very long phone call for us. He's usually much too busy, but I actually was the one that said like, yeah, I gotta go because I was very hungry at the time, and you know that's really unusual because I've been on here for how long, just talking 35 minutes or so. Um, but yeah, we had a good conversation, and I explained to him the thing with my brother, and at first he said, like, when I talked to him before, he said he didn't, my brother didn't say anything about it to him, but then he said, yeah, he did say something about you guys were fighting over money, or you were mad at him over money, because he doesn't understand. Like, I don't, I can't accuse him of not keeping his word, because that will not go over well with him. So I have to put it as like we had a misunderstanding. You know, like I'm pretty damn sure. So like I was like we had, that was my strategy. Like we had a misunderstanding. So next time I don't. Whenever you say yes or no to something, I'm not going to get mad about it. But if I get the impression that you agree to do something and then you don't do it, that's when I get angry. So we just are not communicating well. So next time I'll ask you to say yes or no. And if you're not, if you want to think about it, because he said something about thinking about it, I was like, if you want to think about it, then you can say I'll think about it and then tell you yes or no. So we have to be very specific in our communication, apparently. Um, but yeah, eh. Today I get to watch the Browns, which is cool, and I get to watch other football games, which I do enjoy other football games. I have one saved right now that I can watch. Um, I really feel awful. I don't know if it's the fact that I can't remember the last time I had a proper constitutional, or why, but I do really feel bad, and that's why I got this mood lighting, this uh, this moody, weird lighting. It's weird. I guess the sunrise is maybe at 7:30 to 8 o'clock around here. Maybe that's changed. Who knows? Who knows the changes that like that? If if I'm 52 and that dude's 109, that means that he's twice as old as I am, plus 5 years. So imagine the changes that that guy saw. Because I can remember the rotary phone, as many of you probably can and don't want to admit to. But yeah, I remember using a rotary phone, and then like you misstyle on the phones they got now. It's because your finger hits the wrong button, and then you backspace because you can see the number and everything. But in the old days with the rotary phone, as you probably know, if you went to dial a 9, you had to put it all the way back down to this little silver bar. Because if you didn't go all the way back down, the phone would read it as a 8, and then you would get the wrong number. So you had to make sure that your finger, when you spun the dial, that your finger hit this bar and you went all the way around. Because like if you didn't go all the way around, if you only went this far, it's a 5. If you only go this far, wherever you let go of that thing is what the phone is reading. So yeah, I'm assuming most of the people that I'm talking to already know that though. But I don't, how they have like expressions that no longer apply. Dude, I don't know if like millennials, I don't know if they still say I'm gonna hang up on you, but they don't know what it means or where it comes from. I think about this stupid shit. Or they're like, I'm not gonna talk. They're just saying I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. Or like, well, this conversation's gonna be over. Or if they still say I'm gonna hang up on you. I don't know. I have to watch that like when I watch a film. But the films might be made by people that are more my age. But I wonder if that expression, the expression still applies to people that are my age, where you actually physically hung up a phone on two little pigs, and that's how I'm going to hang up on you, and you can hang up angrily, and you got the fun of making this gesture, and do it. You could bang your phone even, and phones were sturdy. Nowadays, it's not as satisfying. Just poke your phone. I'm gonna poke. I'm gonna poke up on you. And that don't sound too good, but yeah, I don't really know like if that expression is still around among young people that have never hung up a phone. So yeah, the world changes so fast now, as far as like technologically. It's like I was watching a movie that was from 2011 and was released in 2013. I was watching a review of the movie, I should say, and they were like remarking about how, oh yeah, that was 2011. Like, like we would say in the 70s, oh, that was the 20s. you know, they're like, oh, that was so long ago. That was 9 years ago, man. Yeah, they were like, look at her phone, or like they had like some kind of, I forget what they were referring to in the review of the movie You're Next, which is another thing that was really depressing yesterday. Is like I was watching You're Next is one of my favorite movies, so I'm watching this movie and this guy called it stupid, and I just asked him, "Could you please tell me what you found stupid about the movie, briefly?" And it turns into a 35-minute thing of him calling me an idiot. And I'm like, it's just funny to me when people call me names. It doesn't really have any effect on me. I was like, I didn't want this to be a whole big thing. I'm sitting there wasting time, and this guy is like hooking me back in by saying stupid shit. And I'm like, this is pretty much it. I mean, whatever ridiculous thing you're gonna say. I mean, you're a good troll and all, but whatever ridiculous thing you're gonna say, I'm not gonna answer you back. Because he was like, the movie should have went like this, and I'm like, explained why that wouldn't work within the context of the movie, and it pissed him off. And like, I'm like, this is stupid. I don't even know if I'm talking to an adult. I could be talking to a 15-year-old kid with a good vocabulary. And it's like I gotta find a better use of my time, but at the same time, I can't do anything. It's like inventorying cards. I couldn't even do that from a standing position, picking cards out of drawers and picking cards. I can't do any goddamn thing. So I'm just stuck like watching TV. They had a new season of Westworld, which, I don't really, it's super deep show, so I don't really understand it entirely, which is cool. I like being challenged. But, I mean, they don't last. TV shows and movies don't last if that's all you're doing. All you can do is sit there and lay around and watch them. It's like, but I'm gonna have to find something physical I can do. Like, maybe I'm gonna have to like swallow my pride and lift weights like I was in a wheelchair. And then like, I don't know about trying to walk on this leg now because the swelling really went down on it, and it hurts to do anything on it. So it's like I don't know until I get the knee checked out. After that guy, I haven't had the knee X-rayed or any tests done on the knee since the 22nd of September, when that guy fucked with my knee. So I don't know if I'm I could be doing damage by walking on it, because all that pain and swelling could be telling me something like, you're doing harm here. At the same time, I'm getting weaker, and I do need to stand and walk for various reasons. I don't know every reason that you can think of. So uh, I don't really know about walking on it, but I gotta start being able to do something physical. So I'm like, well, maybe I gotta act like I'm in a wheelchair and lift weights like I'm in a wheelchair. At least it's something, you know. But like, here's something that happened. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. This is really stupid. But they call that stupid aid agency called me at 9:30 in the morning, right? They usually come after 12, so I'm not expecting them. Now it took me a while to bolster up the courage, nerve, and/or energy and ambition to do this, but I'm like, well, the aid worker is going to be coming, so get your ass out of bed and get some clothes together and get your laundry detergent together and your money together and get everything ready for them. You don't feel good today. This was last Tuesday. And while I'm getting stuff together for the aid agency, they're actually in here calling me, and I don't hear it. And they're like, um, it was at 9:32. So they're calling me at 9:32 to tell me that they're going to have somebody show up at my house at 9:45. Now all this while I'm like getting clothes together in a bag and I'm walking on my bad leg and I polite. I got like a giant thing of detergent that weighs like 20 pounds. It's ridiculous. So, I got like double baggy a couple of shots of detergent, so these old ladies don't have to carry a big, huge jug of detergent. And, I'm got to get the fabric softener, and then got to get the money out, my quarters, whatever quarters I have left. So this is taking a little bit of time for me to do this because I'm using a bad leg. By the time I get back and answer or play my messages or check my phone, it's way past 9:45. So I missed my worker, and I'm like, no, they can just do the laundry on Thursday, and I forgot Thursday was Thanksgiving. I didn't hear from them on Friday, so I'm like, well, gotta wash clothes out by hand. So I did that out by hand, and that's not easy. And my knee did not like that. So, but I mean, I can't live like this where I'm just laying around watching TV with a bad fucking leg. And I really didn't get any. It was nice to talk to my brother for a while about bullshit like we used to, but I really didn't get no satisfaction. It's the same deal. It's like, well, don't you people get it? I'm gonna have in about, I might already have it. Um, let me see. This will be boring, maybe. I don't know. Let me see how much. I might already have $1,000 on this food card that's just going to waste. Would any of you like to spend $1,000 on food? Uh, this phone shit. Let's see what I got on my card. This is must see TV. Yeah, it's dumb. It's so I really didn't get any satisfaction, and it's still stupid, and it still makes no sense whatsoever. But looking
customer service. To pin your child's PEBT card,
it's
enter the
loud.
last 4 digits of the year of the child's birth when prompted for the last 4 digits of your SSN. Enter the last 4 digits of your card number. Enter your PIN. Your food assistance balance is $727.42. Your food.
Okay, so there's still $727 on there. But in 2 days, I'm going to get another $188, and then in a few days after that, they're going to throw in another $16. That's another $204. So you're going to be real proud of me that I did this. $931 will be on that card. So, and I have nobody that will spend it, you know. And I think it was Cindy that was warning me that, like, well, you're gonna have to pay that money back, or sometimes they make you pay food money back. And I'm a little, I would be okay if I'm getting money for it, because the money will be in the bank. If they want me to pay them back, I can just pay them back in money. But it would not be okay if I just, I thought about doing this and saying, look, you know, and just spend the money on the card. It's like, not even like ask for the money, but be like, it's a Christmas gift, spend it on the Thanksgiving that I'm not going to attend and spend it on the Christmas that I'm not going to attend. I don't know what's going on with my family, but most of them are very poor, and so they should be able to relate to my situation. And the other person that has a good job, I don't know what's going on with them, and I don't want to know. So I thought about doing that, but then if they make me repay any of the food credits, yeah, it's going to be tapping into my funds. So, but if I change the food credits into money, I'll have the money and be like, here, and it's like, won't be taking any personal loss off of it. I don't think they'll make me, with the COVID thing going on, I don't think they're going to be doing that anyway. And I won't have to repay any money. Um, they don't even seem to care. They used to care, like, if you didn't spend money off of there every month, they would just take it away. It was like a thing. It's like you had to spend at least $1 of their monthly allotment of food, or they're like, well, you don't need that. So they would take it back. There's no rollover, in other words, from one month to the other if you don't spend any money on food. If you don't use your September money by October, that money gone. You take it back. But they don't do that now because of the COVID thing, I guess. So, because nothing's been spent on that card since September 15th, I wouldn't have $727 on it. I don't, you know, I'm not going to be able to understand that. And as far as being angry over it, it doesn't really make any sense. But it's no good being angry over it. You're dealing with crazy people. It's just, I don't know how you cannot defeat illogic with logic. I know this. So when you deal with crazy people, you just have to say they're crazy. It doesn't make any sense. You're not going to understand it. Don't even talk to them about it. Don't bother. Like, why should I bother? When I was talking to my brother yesterday, why should I bother even bringing that up? So it's like, I'm not bringing it up. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense from his perspective because he could actually be making money off of the deal, which he doesn't even can't compute or doesn't even realize or doesn't want to do for some reason because it breaks his code of honor, even though he will take $400 off of me that he doesn't have to pay back. Somehow, if I do the 150 for 100 deal with him, like he can spend $150 off of the food card and pay me 100, and then that would make him $50. It's not easy to figure out how that works because if you have to spend your own money and you get $150 worth of food for $100, you get to pocket the $50. It's not hard to understand, but I didn't even approach the subject with them. I just left it alone. If you want to not help me, that's fine. If you want to not help yourself, that's fine. If you want to not take melatonin, even though your brain produces it, and continue to struggle with sleep, that's fine. You do you. And if you is kind of crazy to me, I just have to accept that. You know, just have to deal with it. Uh, it's not like I'm not unfamiliar with crazy and irrationality and things that I don't understand in human behavior. So it shouldn't be a big deal. I think maybe my voice is getting worse, and but the ibuprofen seems to. I still got a headache, but not as bad. And Let's see what time it is. 7:22. What happens if I turn off the light? It's gonna get bright. It's gonna get dark. See, it's getting light outside finally. It's almost 7:30, and it's not, full daylight, but it's getting brighter out there. That's about an hour. That's good enough. Uh, like I said, I don't feel well. I don't feel energetic, and usually it takes energy to be entertaining. You know, unless you do a geek act and sting yourself. Like we're talking about, me and my brother were talking about that guy that was stinging himself with the bullet ants and stuff like that. He's like, oh, the guy claims to be a naturalist, but really he's no better than Steve O. And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of biting the heads off of chickens. It's kind of a geek act if you think about it. Um, if you sting yourself with an insect, then you're saying, well, scientifically, I'm seeing which sting is the most painful. It's like we all have different bodies and we all interpret pain differently. That's why they have that dumbass pain scale thing, which I hate, which is like, how would you rate your pain today on a scale of 1 to 10? And it's like, pain is subjective. It's just let it go, you know. It's like, you can't compare that. It's okay if, like, you're in the hospital for a long time, then you can get a sense from the numbers. Like, if you say it's an 8, and then you say it's a 6, they're like, oh, his pain is improving. But as far as like if they ask you that once, and just to get an idea of your perception of the amount of pain you're in, it's a totally pointless exercise because a pain number 5 for me might be a pain number 2 for you if you're a tough guy, or it might be a pain number 8 for you if you don't have a lot of experience with pain. So it's like, in other words, it's pain is so subjective. It's pointless for that guy to be stinging himself with executioner's wasps and giant desert centipedes and bullet ants. It's like, no, you're just doing this to get views because it's interesting to watch a guy sting himself with a bug, which I will, if you're interested, I will put a link down there so you can watch a guy sting himself with a bug. My advice is skip to the stinging part. Don't listen to all the stuff before it because it's not that interesting. But yeah, um, for the squeamish, we'll leave the giant centipede alone because that's really rough to watch, and stick to the executioner wasp, which is a wasp, I think, from either Central or South America. It's really pretty wasp, but apparently it'll fuck you up. But yeah, today I don't know how today is going to go. It's like I'll move around. That's another thing about it. Like, to get your bowels working, you got to move around. That's why I'm having more problems now, because I am not a complete alien. My body's weird. It doesn't work like other people's works. But you know, to get your metabolism working, you need to be moving around and stuff. You need to like walk around. It's like, so my knee, like I said, disrupted my whole life, which is why I got upset and broke down for the first time in 29 years, where I had a true like breakdown cry, is because I realized that this knee is going to change my whole life. It's not going anywhere. I realized that 3 years ago, and I still got it, and it's worse. So um, yeah, so you need your knee. You need to walk around and move, because you get your metabolism working better. It makes you healthier, makes you less fat, and more self-sufficient. Your bowels will work better. You know, so I think about like knee replacement surgery, or any surgery on me is going to be problematic because of the CRPS. I almost said it like them damn doctors said it. They say it wrong, CPRS, so many times they got me doing it. But the CRPS is going to complicate any kind of surgery that I have. And, I'm not young anymore. Also, you don't recover as quickly when you're older. Plus, I have to be on blood thinners, which doesn't help in recovering from things either. So, I mean, I don't have to be on blood thinners, but it means blood thinners means that I can go into the emergency room and get shocked if my heart goes out of rhythm and then go home. Not on blood thinners means they stick me in the hospital and we have more fun scenes like me yelling at nurses where I'm like quit worrying about me, you should be worrying about yourselves because if I die you're the ones that are going to lose your jobs. I'm like yelling at these nurses because they're like you got a pulse rate of 200 220 and it's like it's because I'm trying to take your shit. And you guys are outside the door yelling at me are not making it any easier. And they're like, well, we don't care, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I gave up on the shit. And I walked out and I was like, you don't care. You're the ones that should care because if I die, you're the ones that are going to lose your fucking jobs. I'm yelling at them and shit. And they're like, you shouldn't say things like that. And of course, I'll say whatever the fuck I want because I lost my temper. But yeah, so blood thinners are to prevent dramatic scenes like that. I couldn't believe I'm being yelled at while I'm trying to take a shit. Though it's like this is my life. It's so fucking stupid. It's like leave me the fuck alone. But it all ties into my current situation. So uh, yeah. Um, but yeah, I can't. The thing of it is like my. I don't know if it's the CRPS or not, but I can't help it. The most I can do to help it is to take the probiotic pills. That's all I can do. I can't take any form of laxatives because then it'll go the other way and I'll be fucked up. I won't. My stomach will be all cramped up. I'll be worrying about running to the. It just goes the other way. You get the idea. So this has been a very unpleasant talk uh, altogether, but I'm truthful as far as like my physical situation. It might be as much as 9 days, and I don't even know. But I haven't been eating that much, or moving. I don't need to eat that much because I don't move around a whole lot. I don't eat a lot of calories. I eat like 2 meals a day. They're not big meals, so you know, uh, I'm not normal. So there's like no advice anybody can give me that's gonna help, uh, unless you got CRPS in the trunk of your body. I will be happy to hear any advice that you have for me as far as how to fix this. But I just have to wait, you know, and I do have to figure out something. I guess I have to be a man and say, accept my situation and be like, okay, I'll just lift weights from a sitting position like a guy in a wheelchair and, do whatever I can. I don't, I used to enjoy lifting weights so much and enjoy like being a muscular and being in shape and everything like that. It's like, so I like to do my workout that I'm accustomed to, and I just have to accept my new situation with my legs screaming at me right now, um, and just kind of accept it until they can do something about it. Like as far as what I was beginning to say about it horrifies me the prospect of having like a plastic knee or like having like a really major fucking surgery on that knee. Because I mean, there ain't, I know from major surgeries, there ain't no going back from that, man. That there's no do overs. However that comes out is how that comes out. So they could fuck me up like much worse. But then again, I'm so fucked up now. It's like, how much worse off could I be? I mean, I might not be able to walk ever again in a normal fashion, but I'm not walking normal now, and I'm in a shitload of pain. So maybe I'll be walking all fucked up with a cane or a brace or something on my leg. But if I'm not in pain, I'll be like the one guy who used to deliver those shitty meals on wheels that said he had a Baker's cyst and ended up having a plastic knee put in. And he can't walk for shit, but he can walk. And he's like, oh, it's much better now because the pain is much less. Because Baker's knee is extremely painful. Baker's cyst is extremely painful. And so, yeah, but I'll admit to that. Like, the idea of getting a plastic knee is just horrifying to me. And it's like a, but my situation right now is horrifying. So it would at least be a different kind of uh, fucked upness if they fuck it up. I mean, there'll be at least something would be done. I mean, I don't know what else they can do for it. Maybe they don't have to do anything that drastic for it. Maybe they can just drain it periodically. That's what I thought they could do with it. Is just like drain it periodically and shoot me up with cortisone periodically. Even though cortisone shots over the long run are not good for you, they deteriorate soft tissue and joints if you have too many of them too often. So that's not a permanent fix. Cortisone shots. So I guess whether I have my head straight or not, this coming week I have to do something about finding a doctor and addressing my general level of misery because this isn't doable. I don't like, you know, I don't know. I managed to keep my sanity, and this has been a useful tool for me to keep my sanity. Is talking it out, expressing it, and even though I'm like it makes me feel worse, it's still facing up to it and looking at it. You got to face up to things and look at things. You know, like I don't know what would happen with my brother. Like say that I became a rock. It's like or say I started taking so many benzos that I had no feelings at all. It's like what would happen to my brother if he does? I mean, how long would it take for him to finally call me? It's clear that he's not concerned so much about me, but concerned about himself. He wasn't like worried about my mental state. He was worried about me being mad at him. So again, it's all about him. I mean, I can accept that. Um, so it was about him that he didn't call. It wasn't like he didn't call over concern for me. And this time, I didn't really call over concern for him because I had already called him like 2 days after it happened. So, um, yeah, as an experiment, that would have been interesting to see how that would play out. But he doesn't face up to things and look at reality because he can't deal with it. And it's like I wrote him like something. And I'm like, He doesn't go to the doctor. He doesn't go to the dentist. He doesn't go to any medical people. He won't even take anything prescribed by a doctor or any other people's medications. You know, like like I was saying about the melatonin thing. It's like your brain produces that anyway. I mean, I offered him like um, sleeping pills and stuff before, but this stuff, melatonin, your body produces it anyway, and it seems to work at least for me. Um, he won't even take that. So, I'm like, I wrote him an email because I didn't want to say that to him because I wanted to choose my words carefully. But I'm like, I know you're afraid of going to the doctor and you're afraid of like the medical community and stuff, but what's going to happen to you is something major is going to happen. It's going to be like, um, say you get I, I don't know what example I'll use, but I'll just invent one for purposes of this video. Say you get something you can't ignore, like appendicitis, and you have to go to a doctor's after not going for 40 years, you're going to freak out. You're going to end up in a mental facility, and all your worst fears are going to come true, is what I wrote it. Because you're not confronting your situations, you know. He's like, doesn't go to the dentist, and he's like, he doesn't go to the dentist because he's worried about his jaw deteriorating, you know, because if you don't go, you can get like your jaw will actually deteriorate. And I'm like, you're not going to the dentist because you're worried about something that if you go to the dentist you could prevent happening, which means you're gonna make it happen. You know, and it's like if that actually happens and you get jaw deterioration and you get like you can get like serious infections that go into your ear canal and stuff. I mean, bad teeth can kill you, as the movie Castaway will tell you. Um, but yeah, it's weird because it's like I said, man, he's worried about his jaw deteriorating, so he doesn't go to the dentist, which is going to ensure that his jaw will deteriorate. It doesn't make any sense, you know. It's like I was trying to tell it, so I was like, I have to be a good big brother and tell him, like, look, man, all these fears that you have that you're that make you avoid doing all these things, they're all your worst fears are going to come true because you're going to make them come true by not facing up to reality. You know, and like by not going to the dentist and not going to the doctor, you're gonna and you know and not taking care of like your anxiety and your problems with sleeping. Not only will you end up in the nut house, and that's like his worst fear. That should be everybody's worst fear. Is nothing is more frightening than losing your mind. Any good horror movie will tell you that. You know. Uh, so yeah, it's like so as far as him, it's like I'll eat some of my feelings because he's headed down a bad road. There's nothing I can do about it because you know we talked about what I wrote him. He's like I read that email that you wrote me. I didn't even bring it up, and I was like, "What'd you feel about it?" He goes, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "I know." I'm like, "You know?" He's like, "Yeah, I know what you're saying is true." Like, you know that all your worst fears are going to come true if you don't face up to your fears in the short term, but you're willing to accept that. We'll cross insanity, jaw deterioration, cancers, whatever. We'll face those bridges, cross those bridges when we come to them. I'm like, yeah. So what do you say about that? You know, nothing you can say about that. Nothing you can do about that. It's like I'm going along for the ride. I'm kind of stuck going along for the ride. So that's why I'm not too mean with him or harsh with him, or I don't yell at him or anything like that because you know what's going to happen to him is going to be way worse than anything I could say or do to him. He's going to be punished by the universe in a much worse way than I could ever do. And it's like, why would I want to add to his miseries? And it's like, that's the meanest I've ever probably been to him is not calling him for that length of time because I was being stubborn. I was like, I wonder like if he'll call me, if he'll just like break down and call me. I mean, I called him first, so he should call me back. So I was like, after 17 days, it's like this is dumb. Just get this out of the way. It's not good for me. Maybe it's interfering with my bowels. At this point, I know I'm being tedious. So, but this is the kind of shit that's running around in my brain that I don't. It's extra stuff that I don't need on top of all my problems. It's like thinking about this. Like most people, I suppose, would be like, I don't need to be any part of this. And I was willing to do that with these people over here. It's like, you know, because you're talking about people using crack. You're talking about some serious madness that I don't want to go into. And it's like, so yeah, I'll write them off, but I'm not writing off my brother because my brother, um, he never did nothing that bad to me, you know. And the universe is already punishing these people, anyways. Um, but so yeah, I did that with them. I mean, many people would do that with somebody that's really damaged and just be like, I saw a good movie about that where this guy had this brother that was losing his mind. It was a horror movie, but it was a horror movie that was psychological horror, but it was really tense throughout the whole thing because this guy, he doesn't, it's not his brother, it's his friend, but it might as well be his brother. They're that close. You know, he finds out he's living on the street, so he takes him in off the street, and like he's got voices in his head telling him that there's aliens living among us and that they're going to attack on a certain time, but they look like regular people. So he's got like uh, weapons and plans, and it looks like he's going to hurt some people and as part of his psychosis. But his friend sticks with him like literally through everything, and is like willing to die for him because he's like, "You're one of them." And he goes, "Well, you know, I'm going to trust you. You can tie me up." And he lets him tie him to a chair, and he's like, if you're saying that the aliens are going to take over at 6 o'clock, and you think I've already been infected by them, so that means at 6 o'clock I should turn into an alien, right? He's like, yeah. So um, he's like, well, tie me to a chair. Do what you have to do. So he ties him to a chair and he binds his mouth with a gag and puts a bag over his head, and he's got sulfuric acid. And I'm like, Jesus, man, don't pour. That's your best friend. Don't pour sulfuric acid on your best friend's head. It looked like he was gonna do it because he was having these um, hallucinations and stuff in his crazy brain, where the guy's teeth, the gag falls out from underneath the paper bag. The paper bag is bulging, and you know, and it looks like um, it looks bad. It looks like his friend's turning into an alien to him, but he overcame that, and he was like, no, this is all in my head. But it didn't look like he's going to overcome it. He's ready to pour sulfuric acid and melt his best friend's face. Then he took the bag off, and he took the gag out, and they had a big hug and everything, and the guy realized he needed help and stuff like that. Um, so I'm kind of there with like, I'm sort of like, I don't know if I'm that down. I'm like, I'm not gonna let, if I was dealing with that level of crazy, I'd be like, fuck you. I'm calling the police and they're throwing you in the happy house. If you're talking about dangerous crazy, but my brother is not dangerous. So he's just irrational, you know. He's like, I'm not gonna go to the doctor because this will happen. So I'm gonna not go to the doctor to make sure it'll happen. You know, that kind of crazy. He's not outwardly turned where like he's gonna shoot me in the head with a nail gun crazy, like in that movie, where the guy is actually on the roof, like pointing a nail gun at people and like looking at people and seeing if they're aliens or not. You know? But he never hurts anybody in the movie, but it doesn't stop it from being a horror movie. And there's nothing more frightening in this world than losing your mind and losing touch with reality and going insane. And yeah, that's the worst. That's why I'm on here like spouting out my nonsense, is to keep my mind straight and to keep my sense of perspective and reality out here, floating out in outer space in my tin can all by myself, because I'm really kind of all by myself, like all the time. So this helps me keep grounded. It helps me like look in the mirror and face myself, even though I don't look at the camera a lot. It's just the way the thing's positioned. I mean, I don't want to set it on my lap, but and look at you like all the time. It's just a positioning thing. I mean, I can get used to looking at my face. I don't really like it, but I get used to looking at it. Um, but yeah, that's so. This is useful to me in that way, as far as helping me keep my sanity when I'm dealing with madness. It's like, you couldn't have spent that money off of my card for Thanksgiving dinner. Are you? Maybe they're like resentful of me not going to Thanksgiving dinner, and they're like, we're not gonna help that motherfucker. He won't even eat with us. I'm like, I could sit down there and explain it to them. I already explained it, but they're only getting my sister's point of view over the whole thing that caused all this. Where I was like, I am not gonna. I don't like to pretend. Okay, my dad did something really heinous. I wasn't gonna pretend and go over there and have anything to do with the family and with anything with him there, to the point that I didn't go to my nephew's wedding because of what my dad did. So I don't like to pretend, and I am not gonna pretend that wasn't a big deal. That I wasn't like deeply fucking wounded, and it wasn't a big. It's a big deal. If somebody's mean to you while you're having a mental breakdown, it's a big deal, and I'm not sitting at the same goddamn table with that person until they confront that issue. So, but in the meantime, I don't involve other people in that bullshit, and I don't talk to other people about it. I talked to my brother about it because he brought it up. And that's the only reason. I don't, go around talking bad about my sister. Now, what my sister does is involves everybody in her bullshit, to the point where I like wrote her a letter meant only for her, and she showed it to her daughter. And like, we tried to figure out that letter that you wrote. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I write you like a very personal letter addressed to you, and you're gonna involve your daughter in this bullshit because you can't figure it out. Why aren't you talking to me? So they're getting her side of the story. So maybe they're like, fuck him. He treated uh, our his beloved sister like shit, and we're not going to help him out by spending his money on Thanksgiving dinner that he didn't even attend to. So fucking. So I don't, but I really don't know what's going on. I don't want to talk to these crazy people about it anyway. So because nothing rational, yeah, nothing good will come of it. Uh, yeah, because you cannot defeat illogic with logic. It doesn't work. So I can't logically sit down like, yeah, and I know that my sister is doing this because I got the backlash from it. I got somebody calling me up and yelling at me. Like, I tracked down all the people that could have possibly said that I was talking bad about this particular person behind their back. And I confronted every person but my sister. And it was my sister who was crying on their shoulder about me that made him like turn into a rabid Wolverine on the phone with me. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, who did this to you? And I was like the calm, rational guy. And they were like, that doesn't matter. I'm smart. I can figure things out. I know. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You just don't out of the blue call somebody up at 10 o'clock at night when they're half asleep and ream them out royally like that. So, yeah. But I just don't need it. Like, I got the knee, I got the CRPS, I got all these physical problems. I don't need to get involved in all this stupid, crazy, irrational, emotional bullshit. So, as far as I don't know what I'm going to do with my money on my card. Maybe I'll get the card back off them and just spend a little bit of it here and there. But I got food. My freezer's already full right now. I'm already worried about like where am I gonna put my next shipment of food? I don't eat that much, so and you know, I mean, what do I do? What do I do with this? Just let it pile up and pile up. I mean, I can buy like a few extras of things I like on it, but not $727 worth of extras. And it doesn't make any sense anyway. It's just, oh yeah, I tabulated the amount of money that they did spend off of the card, or my family did spend off of the card, and it was $1,005. I haven't seen $1 out of that, not one. Anyway, so they already spent $1,005, and then they decided not to spend that any more money off it. Maybe in their mind, I don't talk to them about it because, again, I don't talk to them about it for a reason. But maybe in their mind, they're like, better not spend any more of that money off of that card until I can pay them back for what I owe them. But meanwhile, they're spending money anyway. That's their own money when they could be. Oh God, it's so stupid, so fucking stupid. And like, I'm like, look, I try to tell, I can't, you cannot talk to these people. Try to tell them like, I don't care. Like, when you get paid, you can just send me like, they live like way far away from here. Like, you can just send me like through PayPal like $10. I should tell them they can just mail me $10 out of like their checks, and I'll mark it down as working toward it. You know, but I said PayPal. Maybe I'll have a conversation. Maybe I'll risk a conversation about the $1,005. I don't know. But I was like, you don't have to pay like a lot of it. You can pay like a little bit of it at a time. Like whenever you get paid, you can just send me like $20 through my PayPal. They're like, no, PayPal has charges on it. I'm like, no, they don't. And then we had an argument about that where they're like, you're wrong. It turns out we were both right. If you have a PayPal account that's linked to a bank account, it's free. If it's linked to a card, there's a charge. So apparently, for her, she's got her PayPal account linked to a card. Mine's linked to a bank account. So I wrote her back in text and said that we were both right. And I would be willing to eat the fee. That's what I did with my brother, because he sent me that $300 through PayPal, and then I just sent him back the fee, which was like $7 or something like that. So it doesn't even matter. It's like if they send me $20 and there's like a 20-cent fee, I can just send them the 20 cents back via PayPal for free, and it doesn't cost me anything, and I don't care about losing 20 cents. Like just like I didn't care about losing maybe it was $13 for him sending me $300. I don't care, but I can't talk to these people, and I can't have rational conversations with them. It, it's too scary, and it can get weird and stupid and ugly, and end up not talking to them for like 18 days, or like, and I'll end up emotionally upset, which of course causes me grief. So, but yeah, this is why I don't go. This is why I spent Thanksgiving alone, eating beef and not turkey, and eating like frozen dinners that had steak and potatoes in them, and not turkey. And this is why I'm going to spend Christmas alone. It's because I cannot deal with that level of madness. It's like you, you could have been chipping away at that $1,000, and that's not counting cash that they owe me. You just chip away at it a little bit here and there. I know it's hard for you to get here, so just send it to me through PayPal. No, because there'll be a fee attached, and couldn't even say like, I will send you back whatever fee, and it won't cost you anything. They would probably be like, but it's going to cost you something, and then I'll be like, I don't care, and they'd be like, I do care. I don't want it to cost you anything. It's like it's fucking madness. It's like I can't fucking handle it. I can't deal with it. It's all stupid. It's just stupid. I don't even want to know what goes on behind the scenes as far as my Thanksgiving dinner scenario, where I'm like, whatever nonsense my sister is filling their heads with. It's like, well, so they probably spent, like I said, $200 cash maybe on Thanksgiving dinner, and they could have spent it. off my card, and I could have the $200 cash. But it also doesn't make any sense. You see, you don't want to think about this stuff too much because now I'm well over an hour. It also doesn't make any sense if you think about it. They're like, well, I don't want to spend any more of the guy's card money, and that way I'll owe him more money. But it really doesn't matter if you owe me more money because it's not going to make me any more or less resentful. It's not going to matter because you're spending it's the same thing. You're spending money either way. You're, you're spending money off of, uh, you got to spend money for food. Instead, you're using my EBT card and you're going to owe me more money, but it doesn't matter because you already owe me a whole shitload of money anyway that you haven't paid a dime on. So, what, what is their logic behind that? I don't want to get any more in debt to this guy. I'd rather just spend. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't know what their logic is, and I'm not going to ask them. But yeah, I already like. Yeah, so much for getting rid of my headache. This is not a way to get rid of a headache. So, thinking about these things, we're trying to figure out like how other people's minds work. I mean, I don't know if I'm, like I said, I'm off here on an island. So I don't know if I'm the crazy one here or not, but that I know that person was like they stopped spending money off my card in September. They didn't want to owe me any more money. So instead of spending, that's why I got $700 on there. So instead of spending money off of that $700, they're spending their own uh, cash, and it really doesn't make any difference if you're not paying me any money at all. And you really could be chipping away at the money just here and there, and I wouldn't care. $5 back, pay me $5 back here and there. That would be cool. But they live way the hell in a couple of cities away, so I don't ever see them. So they're not gonna like make a special 50, 60 minute drive. I don't know if they live that far away. No, they don't live that far away. It'd be like a 30-minute drive. They're not gonna make like a 30-minute drive, 60 minutes round trip in their mind, just spending however much that is in gas money. I think gas money is cheap now thanks to COVID. But you know, just to give me like $10 off of their paycheck, but they could do that electronically. Or maybe the next time I talk to them, I could be like, well, you could put like the money in an envelope and just send me like a wee bit here and there, or I could like ask them about it. But then like they're like they get like a rabid Wolverine and they're so like volatile. It's like I have to find out what kind of mood they're in first before I can talk about that. It's like, and to me, it was like, oh, this is no big deal. This is going to work out good for me because, because of the COVID crisis, at least something's good coming out of it. I'm getting all this extra food benefits that I can turn into cash. So cool. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. And instead, it turns out to be a bad thing. And it's like, and then like, I just tell my brother, like, look, just spend the money. I don't care. It's like this is like before I even borrowed the $300 off of him. I was like, just fill your refrigerator up. Just I don't need it. You're always talking about having to eat the same food all the time, and you're always budgeting real tight. Like just take the $300 off of the card. I was not getting spent anyway. He's like, no, don't want to do that. So what am I supposed to do with this? I'll just let it pile up until it gets into four digits. It'll be close to. It'll be like I said, $931 here in about 2 days. Um, so pretty soon it'll be up over $1,000 just sitting there, just unspent by anybody, and it could be in my pocket. And I think about this also is like I give up these two teeth, which cost $2,000, I could have caps on these two teeth, but at the time I thought I was gonna move. So I was like, teeth are moving. It's more important for me to move. So I got neither. I got two missing teeth that I could have had capped for $2,000 because I had the money at the time. I just didn't want to spend it on teeth. I wanted to spend it on moving. So no teeth and no moving. There's a decision I'd like to take back. Believe me, that bothers me every day. Feeling my every time I talk, every it bothers me 1,000 times a day. Feeling that edge of my tooth with my tongue when I'm trying to talk. Even though I found out that I can't talk too good when I have my partial plating, because there's just more junk in my mouth. There's like a thing, a band that goes around here and a band that goes around the roof of my mouth. So yeah, so things haven't been working out. I think it's safe to say, and that's why I have to stay away from like thinking about all that stuff because it's just you just leave crazy alone. Just leave it alone. Even when you're talking to people, you like leave it alone. So when I talk to my brother, it's like I would like to have serious conversations with him, but he talked a lot about Trump and how that's changed the dynamic in the family. And he's like, it's nice that we don't talk about politics anymore at dinners. We used to have an agreement that we wouldn't talk about politics because he hates Trump. Most of the people in the family loves Trump. There's like a political divide in there, and it just turns into a thing. So they had agreement for a while that they weren't going to talk about politics, and then but that agreement gets busted all the time, and they say ridiculous things according to him, and then he feels compelled to say something back, and he's like, well, that'll be gone. He's like, that's the kind of thing he was talking about. He's like, well, that'll be gone. And then he was talking about how Trump is leaving a fucked up situation. And for Biden, here's how he put it. He's making as many messes as possible for Biden to clean up uh, and screwing things up as much as possible. And I was like, well, I haven't really been following that aspect of things. But instead of like talking about our lives and you know the kind of bullshit that I talk about when I'm on here, he wants to talk about real bullshit, bullshit, not real bullshit. Like this is bullshit. This is going on. This stuff with this card and like your situation. That's real bullshit. He's talking about bullshit, bullshit. We're talking about bullshit, bullshit, like the kind that Hollywood serves up for us to watch. So, I'm talking about the movies I've watched and the TV show I've watched, and um, I'm getting tired of watching TV shows. And what else was he talking about? Oh, he's talking about hurting his knuckle and how he thought he broke it, but he needs his hands because because of his insomnia and his anxiety and stuff. That's his coping mechanism is to work and stay busy all the time. And that's not. Now that he's getting a little older, he's got the aches and pains associated with that. Why in the hell am I talking on here for this long and like in poor lighting to boot? I'm sorry about that. This was supposed to only be an hour, but I started thinking. I started like try to sort through the family stuff. It's like I'm not really a part of that. I don't really want to be a part of that. I just can't help but wondering. Like I said, I can't help but wondering about the Thanksgiving food credit thing because Thanksgiving food, you know. Anyways, I'm gonna get off here. I gotta put some lotion on the backs of my hands because winter in Ohio dries you out, and it's 1,000,000 degrees in here because the guy in the wheelchair's got control of the thermostat and he don't have good circulation. So, in a way, my shirtlessness and my shorts that I wear all the time kind of are appropriate because it's quite tropical in here. And now the sun has actually risen. And so I guess I'll see you next time. hopefully have better things to talk about and better news. Goodbye.